I inherited my grandmother's house, but my family sold it. Little did they know that my grandmother had a backup plan. I never imagined a day would come when my own family would stab me in the back. But here I am, picking up the pieces. I'm Ellie Harper, 29, a graphic designer scraping by in Seattle's rainy sprawl. My life used to feel like a warm sketch, messy but bright, filled with late-night Photoshop sessions and weekends at Grandma Rose's Craftsman house in West Seattle. She was my anchor, a wiry 78-year-old with silver hair and a voice like a soft wind chime, always brewing tea and telling stories of her youth. That house wasn't just wood and shingles. It was her soul, our history, every scuff on the floor a memory. Then cancer stole her 6 months ago, and I thought the worst was over. I was dead wrong. The will reading was a week after her funeral, held in a stuffy lawyer's office downtown. I sat on a creaky chair, still raw, my hands twisting a tissue as Aunt Linda and Aunt Sue flanked me. Linda's 55, all sharp angles and peroxide curls, a real estate agent with a fake smile. Sue's 52, rounder, with a perm and a habit of sighing dramatically. They're mom's sisters, grandma's daughters. And growing up, they'd been distant, popping in for holidays with store-bought pies and excuses. I figured they'd show up, nod, and leave me to grieve. Instead, they dropped a bomb. Grayson, grandma's lawyer, a balding 60-something in a cheap suit, cleared his throat. Rose left the house to Ellie, he said, peering at his papers. Sole beneficiary, signed last year. My chest swelled. Relief, love, a piece of her to hold on to. I pictured her garden, the creaky porch swing, and felt her hug in my bones. Linda cut in, voice sharp. Not so fast. She slid a new document across the table, her manicured nails tapping. Mom changed it before she passed. Sold the house to a developer, split the cash 3 ways. Sue sighed, nodding. She knew Ellie didn't need it. The air sucked out of me, a punch to the gut. What? I croaked, my tissue shredding in my fists. That's not true. She promised me. Linda smirked, leaning back. Promises don't hold up, kid. It's done. $400,000, split even. Grayson frowned, adjusting his glasses. This supersedes the old will, dated 2 weeks before her death. I stared at the paper. Grandma's signature, shaky, wrong. My throat burned, shock melting into fury. She was on morphine then, I said, voice trembling. She couldn't sign this. Sue tisked, patronizing. She wanted us taken care of, Ellie. I bolted up, chair scraping, tears hot on my cheeks. You forged it. You sold her house? Linda laughed, cold. Prove it, sweetie. It's gone. Deal's closed. Grayson shuffled papers, avoiding my eyes. Legally binding, he muttered. I grabbed my bag, storming out, their whispers trailing me like smoke. Outside, rain pelted my face, matching the storm inside, grief twisted with betrayal. Grandma's house, my sanctuary, pawned off by her own daughters, my aunts, my family. I called my best friend Jamie, a lanky tech whiz with a mop of black hair, as I slumped in my car. He answered, voice crackling. Ellie, you okay? I choked out. They sold it. Grandma's house, gone. They faked the will. He cursed, sharp. Those vultures. What's the plan? I wiped my eyes, rain blurring the windshield. They think I'll roll over. They don't know me, or her. Jamie paused, then grinned through the line. That's my girl, Dig. Grandma was sly. She'd have something up her sleeve. That night, in my cramped apartment, I paced, the sting of their smug faces fueling me. Linda's smirk, Sue's fake pity. They'd played me, cashed out Grandma's life like it was a garage sale. But something nagged. Grandma wasn't careless. She'd taught me to sketch every angle, see the hidden lines. That shaky signature, her morphine haze, it didn't fit. She'd loved me, trusted me. I sank onto my couch, staring at a photo of us on her porch, her eyes twinkling. You've got a backup, don't you? I whispered. My hands curled into fists, resolve hardening. They'd underestimated us both. I'd find her plan and make them choke on their greed. The days after that, while reading, were a fog of fury and grief, thick as Seattle's drizzle. I'd slump on my couch, staring at Grandma Rose's photo, her silver hair glinting, her eyes twinkling like she knew something I didn't, and feel the betrayal burn hotter. Linda and Sue had sold her house, my house, for a quick $400,000, laughing off my tears like I was a kid throwing a tantrum. I'd lost her, and now they'd snatched her last gift, leaving me with nothing but a forged signature and a gut full of rage. But I wasn't done. Grandma had raised me to sketch through the mess, find the lines others missed. They thought they'd erased me, but I'd draw them a reckoning they'd never see coming. Jamie crashed at my place that first weekend, his lanky frame sprawled across my futon, black hair a mess. He'd brought pizza, greasy comfort, and a laptop, his techie brain already whirring. "There's slime, Ellie," he said, shoving a slice at me. "But we'll slime 'em back. What's the move?" I bit into the crust, the salt waking me up, and muttered, "That signature's fake. I know it." He grinned, cracking his knuckles. "Then we dig. Grandma was a fox. She'd have a plan B." I nodded, a spark cutting through the haze. "Let's start there." I turned to what I knew best: design. Late that night, I pulled up the blurry will photo Sue had texted me, her smug proof, and zoomed in, my graphic eye dissecting it. Grandma's signature was a shaky scrawl, not her firm, looping R I'd traced as a kid. I overlaid it with an old birthday card she'd signed, clean, steady, and the mismatch screamed. My heart raced, hope flickering. "Got you," I whispered, screenshotting it. I logged into our family cloud next, Grandma's old email still linked, and scrolled months back. A draft popped up, dated a year ago. "Ellie gets the house. Linda and Sue can't be trusted." My throat tightened, love and fury tangling. She'd seen this coming. Jamie peered over, pizza forgotten. "Holy crap, Elle, that's her voice." I printed it, hands shaking. "They buried this. I need more." He tapped his laptop. "I'll poke the developer deal, follow the money." I smirked, bitter. "Do it. They're not as smart as they think." The next day, I drove to Grandma's house, sold but not gutted yet, keys still with me from her spare. The Craftsman stood quiet, her roses wilting, and my chest ached as I climbed to the attic. Dust stung my eyes, but I spotted it. A small safe under a tarp. Combo her birthday. 12, 15, 44. Inside, a second will, pristine, naming me sole heir, and a letter in her spidery hand. "Ellie, my girl, keep what's yours. They'll try to take it. Don't let them." Tears blurred the ink, but I grinned, fierce. "You genius, Grandma." I needed leverage, public pressure, so I hit Twitter. My account was small, mostly design nerds, but I posted a vague thread. "Family greed's wild, selling what's not theirs." I added a grainy shot of me and Grandma on her porch, captioned, "She'd hate this." It took off, 50 retweets by morning, comments like, "Who'd do that?" and "Fight back." I fueled it with a story. Some legacies get stolen. Stay tuned. Locals chimed in, curious, and I pictured Linda scrolling, her curls bouncing with panic. "Sweat, you thieves." Jamie called Tuesday, voice buzzing. "Found it. Developer paid $400K. Linda and Sue pocketed $50K each under the table. Off books. Shady as hell." My pulse spiked, a thrill cutting through. "Proof?" He laughed. "Bank transfers, sloppy ones. I've got PDFs." I punched my couch, adrenaline surging. "Perfect. They're toast." He paused. "Court?" I nodded to myself. "Soon. First, I twist the knife." Linda and Sue threw a new start party that weekend at a rented venue, an art gallery downtown, all glass and pretension. They'd splashed sale cash on it, inviting cousins, friends, me. I went, gray hoodie and jeans my shield, playing dumb. The place buzzed. Linda in a teal dress, Sue in floral, both sipping wine and grinning. I mingled, phone recording in my pocket, until Linda cornered me by a sculpture. "Enjoying the party, Ellie?" she asked, voice syrupy. Our little win's paying off, Sue chimed in, smug. Outsmarted you, huh? I smiled tight. Sure, looks legit. Linda laughed, loud. Told you she'd fold. I stopped the clip. Gold, pure gold. A cousin, Matt, a wiry 30-something with a buzz cut, sidled up after. They're gloating, he muttered, frowning. Grandma wouldn't want this. I squeezed his arm. She didn't. Watch me. That night, I synced the recording to the will, the email, Jamie's PDFs. My arsenal locked. Twitter hummed. 200 retweets now. Followers guessing. Real estate scam? I posted one more. Greed's loud, truth's louder. Linda and Sue thought they'd danced off with Grandma's life. They didn't see the net tightening. Jamie dropped the final piece Thursday. Developers antsy. Deal's not final till the lawyer signs off next week. You've got a window. Relief hit me, warm and sharp. Then we hit hard. I spent Friday prepping, scanning the will, backing up files, drafting a legal note with Jamie's help. My hoodie swapped for a blazer. I felt her with me. Grandma's voice in that letter, steady, sure. Linda and Sue had underestimated her cunning. My fight. They'd sold her house, but she'd built me a lifeline. The lawyer meeting loomed, their smug faces waiting. They didn't know Grandma's backup was about to bury them. The lawyer meeting was a rainy Tuesday morning in a sleek Seattle office, and I walked in like I'd been sketching this moment for weeks. My gray blazer swapped my hoodie, my files a shield, Jamie at my side like a tech wingman. Linda and Sue sat across a glass table, smug as ever. Linda in a teal blazer, Sue in a floral top, sipping coffee like they'd already banked Grandma's legacy. Grayson hovered, his cheap suit wrinkled, while the developer, a beefy guy named Carl in a pinstripe, tapped his watch. They thought they'd sealed it, $400,000 split and spent. They didn't know Grandma's backup was about to blow their little heist wide open. Grayson started, voice dry. We're here to finalize the sale. Proceeds distributed per the updated will. Linda smirked, leaning back. All done, right, Ellie? Sue sighed, fake pity dripping. You'll be fine, hun. My stomach twisted, their arrogance a match to my fuse. But I kept my cool, nodding at Jamie. He slid a laptop forward, calm as steel. Not quite, I said, voice steady. There's a second will, and proof you're thieves. I opened with the safe's will, projecting it on a wall screen. Grandma's neat script. Ellie Harper, sole heir to my house. The room stilled, coffee cups pausing mid-air. Linda scoffed, shrill. That's fake! I smirked, clicking to her email draft. Ellie gets the house. Linda and Sue can't be trusted. Sue's jaw dropped, her perm quivering. Where'd you get that? I leaned in, sharp. Her cloud, where she warned me about you. Grayson sputtered. This doesn't... But I cut him off with Jamie's PDFs. $50K each, off books, from Carl's deal, bribes. Carl flushed, meaty hands clenching. That's nonsense! The recording was my kill shot. Linda's voice from the party, loud and smug. Outsmarted you, huh? Sue's giggle followed. Told you she'd fold. The developer's face darkened. Linda's curls bounced as she lunged up. You little, turn that off, she barked, but I cranked it, letting it loop. Smile, aunties, I said, voice ice. You sold what wasn't yours. Carl slammed his folder shut, growling. I'm out. Deal's off if this is fraud. Grayson grabbed his phone, muttering about legal review, but the damage was done. Linda pointed, furious. You've got nothing. That house is gone. I laughed, low and dangerous. Not anymore. Grandma's will's legit. Yours isn't. Jamie chimed in, cool. Judge saw it yesterday. Emergency filing. Sales voided. Sue wailed. We spent it. I shrugged, smirking. Repay with interest. Court's orders. Carl stormed out, cursing, and Grayson followed, leaving Linda and Sue gaping like fish. Matt texted from the hall. He'd snuck in, grinning. Nailed 'em, Elle. I exhaled, relief crashing in, sharp, sweet, Grandma's hand on my shoulder from beyond. By Friday, it was official. The house was mine. Linda and Sue hit with a $450,000 repayment order, their shady $50K clawed back. Twitter exploded. My thread hit 500 retweets, followers cheering "Justice" and "Grandma's a legend." I walked back into the Craftsman, the porch swing creaking, and sank into her garden chair, tears pricking. With the safe's hidden $30K, Grandma's nest egg, I restored it. New paint, her roses revived. My design studio launched there, clients flocking after my story spread, Seattle's inheritance fighter. Linda and Sue faded, their braggy posts gone, cousins cutting ties. A month later, I stood in my studio, sunlight spilling through Grandma's old windows, a mock-up for a local cafe on my screen. Jamie dropped by, tossing a coffee my way. "Heard Linda's flipping burgers now," he said, chuckling. I grinned, catching it. "Fitting." My phone buzzed. Matt. "You honored her, Elle. Proud." I framed a shot of her roses, peace settling in, a quiet hum over the grief. They'd sold her house, but she'd left me a lifeline, and I'd turned their greed into my win. Guess who's standing now? It's wild how a backup plan can rewrite your story. Grandma had my back, and I made them pay for forgetting it. But I'm curious. What about you out there? What would you do if your family tried to erase your inheritance? Let me know. I'm listening.